welcome to episode 158 of the Knitting Samurai and Her Guys video podcast. I'm your host, Steph, also known as the Knitting Samurai, and this is my co-host, Linus, today. He is joining me. He really wants to stand on the dining room table. That's where we are, and I'm just not having it. I'm not having it, Mr. Linus. No. So, we'll see how long he lasts, if he'll relax on my lap or not. How are you? April's almost over. Can you believe it? Where is the time going? It's like gone. I realized the other day that when April's over, then it's May. And when it's May, then it's June. And when it's June, the year's half over. So I was getting all like, but in terms of my knitting goals, not that there's anything wrong with it being June. No, I'm not anti-June. June is the month Tristan was born. But you know, gotta either refocus in on those goals or change them, because the hat plague has continued. I know, you thought it would be over, but no, the number of hats, can you guys hear him? He is like the happiest cat ever. The number of hats coming off my needles, I counted. So I have 9 finished hats based on the bobble hat, which, if you recall, is knit on 5s and 7s, US 5s and 7s. It's a pattern by Donna Smith, and it's now, I think, well, except for the Santa ornaments, probably the pattern I have knit the most in my knitting career of 13 years of crazy knitting. I knit before that, but that's when I became like obsessive compulsive knitter. So I'm still loving knitting these hats. I have 3 more on the needles right now. I've pretty much got the family covered. I'm now working my way through teacher gifts for the fall, Christmas, whatever. And yeah, everybody's getting a hat. I ordered the #1 rated pom-pom maker on Amazon. Better than Clover. Got a higher rating than Clover. And I think it was like $3 or $4, but it is coming from China, I swear. It's gonna take like a month to get here. So my hats are without pom-pom, so we just have to pretend that there will be this big, beautiful pom-pom on the top of every hat I show you, because that's part of the look, part of the style. And I was worried the other day that since, here, I'll share this with you, for fall 17, polka dotted, heavily patterned socks are no longer on trend. So that means like your smart wool socks, or I don't know who else makes really nice wool socks that have lots of pattern on them. You're gonna see them go more towards cable or lace maybe, or solid, and less towards the striping or geometric designs that they've done in the past that are brightly contrasting. So thinking about that, I'm like, well, this pom-pom trend has been on for a while now. But when I think about what we're selling in the stores for fall 16, we're doing lots of hats. And I got nervous that we weren't lots of pom-pom hats, that my pom-pom hats would not be as well received by the recipients if pom-poms weren't on trend anymore. And then I was like, no, fall 16, you're knitting these to give for fall 16, so you're fine. So my work life confused my knitting life there for a minute, because at this point we're starting to think about fall 17 and conceptualizing what we want to buy, and we haven't even sold fall 16, and I'm knitting for Christmas 16. So anyways, all that to kind of fill up space, really, because I'm afraid this will be like a 10-minute episode of here are some hats, and you'll be like, that was great stuff, next. But I started to say that this pattern, I love this pattern so much, and I've been knitting it. I've knit it so many times. So here's one that I'm doing right now. And I'm holding a skein of Heathered Sport Weight Patons Breton. Heather is the name. It's their beige color. Along with a strand of Claudia Hand Paints Fingering Weight. Holding these two together and getting this great heathered effect on this hat. And it's going to be the Norwegian, from Norway with love or something. It's basically hats that I'm going to work. A hat. It is a hat. Sorry, my brain just really isn't here. I mean, it's here, but it's not fully functioning. It's going to have hearts for the color work portion, so it'll have a few hearts, and I'm knitting that for one of Tristan's teachers. I was looking at, because, okay, here's my secret to my inspiration, right? I go on Rav and I put in color work and I put in the most popular, and whether it's on a sweater yoke color work or it's a mitten color work, I'm adapting it for different purposes, right? To put it onto the hat. And even like there's one I'm knitting, let's see. This one is inspired by Alicia Plummer's Maple Cider, which has cool arrows going around it, right? It's sort of based on hers, but I'm putting my own twist on it. So I'm just, wherever I'm finding inspiration, I'm kind of letting it run, and I'm using the bauble hat as the base pattern for it. So this is J Knit Super Wash Me sock in, it's a pink and a gray, and I'm holding it with a, oh, it's all gone. Yeah, this is the end, but it was the lace weight Frog Trail alpaca. Yeah, so it's really nice, really fine. I've loved using it. So I've been holding it with that, but now I'm just gonna use 2 skeins of the pink and the gray, along with this contrasting yellow. And kind of, here's the pattern that I've been inspiring, that has been inspiring me, and I'm just sort of copying it. It's not something I felt like I needed to pay for, to be honest. But looking around, I found this pattern that is a Mary Poppins for a mitten. Oh my God. And the birds on the wire. Those are like the 2 that are in my head that I've got to get on hats, and potentially they'll stay with me because I was a big Mary Poppins fan when I was younger. Or I might make them for the teacher gifts. I'm not sure. I'd have to talk to Amy, the director, because if you're not a Mary Poppins fan, it's like, why did you knit me this funny old lady on with a umbrella? But if you are, you totally get that that's a silhouette of Mary Poppins, and I just think a school age teacher, that'd be fun. But I looked at some that had foxes, mittens with foxes on them, that I thought, oh, I could put a band of foxes. I thought about frogs. I purchased, it's a sock pattern, and it has 2 different versions, and one has knit pearl written out around the leg of the sock, and the other version has frogs, like ribbit. So I thought about using the frogs too. So these are all the ideas that are swirling around in my head as I knit these hats that I can't seem to stop knitting. But the problem here, ladies and gentlemen, is that it's a great way to stash bust. I've knit 5,000 plus yards already this year, which is great. I'm happy with that progress. Right? Yeah, that would be good if I kept that up. It'd be at almost 15,000, so fine. But it only counts towards my goals if I use yarns that are in my stash and not little cakes of scrap yarn that I have laying around, which is what this is. This is another J Knits little bits and pieces I had that are not logged in my stash. So yeah, great. I'm knitting them towards my mileage, but I'm not helping my stash down goal. So less excited about that. But this one I just cast on, and for all of these hats, I have a lot of sheep and alpacas. These stitch markers are by Wee Little Stitches. Wee Ones, maybe? I used to love them. I bought tons of them. I don't not love them now, but I prefer my little, a little ring with a piece of, a ring with a bead, there we go, versus a dangly, because the dangly can get heavy. But you always know when you're at the beginning of the round. Speaking of which, not at all related, I don't know why my brain went there, but did you see Game of Thrones? It was good. It was good. And I really enjoyed the ending, and that's all I'm gonna say. But that hat right there, the rust colored one, that is a pattern I'm gonna follow, which is the Shimbu Mix clip hat. So I'm gonna do that with rust at the base, a golden, a brown, and a teal are my 4 colors I'm gonna use on it. So I'm excited to do that. It's not, I mean, it's stranded knitting, but it's not color work in the same sense that what I've been working on has been color work. So, and I will say one more thing about this one, and then I'll show you the 2 I finished. I ordered a set of cubics, Knitter's Pride cubics in size 5, because when you have 4 hats on the needles, you need more 5s. I actually went back through my hibernating. I've gone through all my fixed. I looked at my needle tips. It's like, I don't have 5s. I have a plethora of 6s, which I knew, but not as many 5s as I wanted of tips. Anyway, so I ordered some cubics, and you could see that first row was miserable. Cast on was miserable. I didn't like it. I'm now on my second row. I know, I'm drawing conclusions based on not a lot of time working with these, but they're growing on me. They're growing on me. I feel like the tips are not as sharp as, what is this? That's a Knit Picks. That's a 7, so yeah, the tips would not be as sharp. But this is a Knit Picks, yeah, a Knit Picks 5, and I feel like, boy, I can't tell the difference. So it must be as sharp. I need to give them more time. I'm gonna give them this whole brim, or at least an inch, and if I don't care for them by then, I'll let it go. But I do really love the fact that the size is etched onto it. That's pretty nice, pretty nice. And I love my Knitter's Pride Platina and the Cubics. Is that what I mean? No, Carbones. Carbones. I love those two. So I didn't actually even notice I ordered Cubics until they arrived, and I was like, oh, okay, well, it's the right circumference, and so I got them. So I'm trying them. Yeah, so this is what's on the needles, those 3 hats. I updated my project page and hibernated everything that wasn't a hat because it's been at least a month since I've knit on not a hat. I mean, a sock. Emergency knitting doesn't really count in my book. So I did finish this beautiful hat. So this is some, I can't remember what the teal is, a teal yarn, and then that alpaca, Frog Tree alpaca lace weight in the charcoal color held together. So get this awesome, oh, it looks like an over dyed teal. I showed it to you last time. It was in progress. I knit this for my dad. I used a nice yellow for those Norwegian stars, and I couldn't be happier with how this turned out. I love the little flecks on the top. Grain of salt on the pom-pom. I'm not sure if he needs one, to be honest, but I may give it to him without a pom-pom and then I give him the option. I haven't woven in my hands. Give him the option that I could knit him a pom-pom, but it's super dense and squishy because of the 2 skeins held together. And I just love that color. Oh, I love that color. It's the color of my house. They're all gonna tease me when I give it to them, but I think it's really nice. So I might do another one of these with this. So this stitch pattern came off. It's a Norwegian baby ear flap hat pattern that I lifted that from. So yeah, and for my dad, I did make the cuff, the brim, instead of 24 rows, I think I did 30 of ribbing just because he does have a rather large head. And then the second one I finished is this thing of beauty, which is Schaefer Nicole, which I discovered is discontinued. It's an 80/20 high twist, heavyweight, closer to sport weight yarn. I held that with a strand of Tosh Merino Light, I think, in the Thicket colorway. It's on my project page anyways. And I feel like the single ply of the Thicket sort of detracted from the beauty and the stitch definition of the Schaefer Nicole, but together they make a really pretty semi-solid hat where it would have looked more variegated if I hadn't used the solid strand of purple with the crazy colors of aqua and navy and royal blue and purple of the Schaefer Nicole. So that, and then the white is Red Heart. Red Heart, Heart and Soul, which is the white I've used for a lot of these hats. I'm getting low on it, so I might have to attack some of my Knit Picks that I bought for Christmas ornaments. I'm not sure where that is. I have to find it. It's in the UFO bin, probably, with the last 2 ornaments that I did not finish. But anyways, this hat, I lifted the stitch pattern off the Shambu, I can't even say it, but the link is in the show notes. It was a Norwegian, I assume it's Norwegian, mitten. Looks like a traditional Scandinavian mitten pattern. And there was a really neat pattern around the cuff. And so that's what this is, just blown up. So obviously larger needles than what they use. So from here to here is the cuff band from a mitten. And then I added in these tees at the top just to give it a little more interest. And then I'm going to put a purple and white pom-pom on top, and it's going to be beautiful. My stitch count was a bit off. You can see right here, this one's pretty messy because it's 2 together, but I think only a knitter is going to notice that. I think everyone else will just see that beauty of the pattern. And then when I finished, it was late. It was very late last night when I finished this, like midnight. We just kept watching one more of, well, first it was Game of Thrones, and then it was, what's the next one? Silicon Valley we watched, and Veep we watched, and then John Oliver came on, and I'm a sucker for John Oliver, so I had to stay up, and then John Oliver ended, and I literally threw off my blanket off the couch, threw my knitting to the other side, got up, and ran upstairs. I was like, if I sit on this couch, another show will start, and I will watch it, to the point that I left my phone behind. So, anyways, Steve brought it up for me, so no worries there. But I missed doing one of the T's here on the crown. And yep, so there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's one in every decrease section, but I only did 9, and then that I bound off, and I was like, serious? And so this morning I went back and I duplicate stitched this one right here over it. It's not perfect, but to a non-knitter, it's gonna be great. So this hat is either gonna be for my cousin Stacy, or no, not for my cousin Stacy. This one's for my cousin Stacy, because there's a lot of symbolism about using the cardinal bag and knitting a wheel, and like that's for her. So this one's probably gonna be for one of the boys' teachers, but I think it's really pretty. And it's a little bit small on me because I also have a large head, so it'll be good for a normal person size head. And I've already woven in my ends, so only 8 hats to weave in ends on, bonus, right? So yeah, that's it. That's what I have to share with you. I want to hear a little bit about us. Okay, let's sit and knit, shall we, for a minute? Will tell you that, let's see, what has happened. We had soccer. It was very exciting for everyone involved. I ran around a little bit out there. It was funny. The coach had like 10 4 and 5-year-olds, and they all have their own soccer balls, and he's working on drills and getting them organized. You know, this is the first sport we've done, so Ro didn't even understand, like, this isn't a game, honey, this is just practice. We're just gonna do whatever the coach says about, you know, line up and do this, or I never played soccer. So one of the drills was the coach walked around and the kids tried to hit his feet with their soccer balls, like kick their balls at his feet, so working on their aim, and he would say, ouch, ouch, every time a ball hit him. And it was very cute, and the kids loved it because he was hamming it up. And all the parents are in like a ring around watching and laughing out on this field. It's super cold. My mother and Tristan were there. So she and I were handing Tristan back and forth, and he had his hat on, but he was so cold. And then the coach was like, oh, your parents think this is so funny, now you're gonna go hit their feet. And so Rose spent some time shooting balls at my feet, which was cute and fun.
I know you're laughing at when you were playing next. So.
And then I learned how to put on soccer socks. I've never done that, so it was quite, I'm sure it was humorous to watch. And anyone who knows about soccer, like putting on the socks in the correct way to roll them down and not tuck them in, and what order things go in, and I was all over the place, but we'll be better this week. So the soccer was a success. And then this past weekend we went out to visit my in-laws, and Steve's aunt and uncle and his cousin, 2 cousins came, and a boyfriend, and another aunt and uncle came too. So it was basically Thanksgiving minus 2 people. So that was great. The boys had a lot of fun playing with their cousin. He's 3 years older than Roland, who's 3 years older than Tristan. So Get in there. Yeah. Go, Roro. Go. Go. Teamwork. Woo!
Woohoo! Yay! Want more? Yeah.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
Boop, 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 boop. Oh, right with the nose.
I got it.
Up.
And the next morning, or that night, we left at 8:30 and drove 2.5 hours home. And I was awake for almost all of it. Go me, because usually I sleep. But the boys were out, like, way past bedtime and a super busy day outside and just playing and all that. My stitches are off. No, they're not. Why do I have an extra pearl? I don't know. Okay, just a little off. Back while I talk. What was I gonna say? Oh, so then the next morning, his aunt and uncle were driving. They live 5 hours from his grandparent. This is very complicated, and I don't need to tell you all this, but we were on their way home. So they stopped here for lunch, and I had my first large family dinner. I made tortellini and salad and garlic bread and, yeah, fruit for the boys. And we had ice cream sandwiches for dessert. And Steve went and got some local beer that's brewed, like, literally 2 minutes from our house. The fridge is making a funny water noise. It scared me a little bit. Yeah, so some beer that's brewed down the street from our house. He got a growler of it, so the guys had that. I fed 8 people. So it was a great time, and we were so happy to share our home. The condo was cramped, so it's good to be here and be able to do that and say, hey guys, come stay too. Come up for a long weekend. Ride the motorcycle up and stay with us. So yeah, still feeling real happy. I'm real blessed. So I hope you are enjoying what's going on with you and you're knitting more than just hats. But if you're knitting just hats, don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. So I will see you in about 10 days or so. And until then, take care. Bye.
Hold on to rolling, Tristan.